Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick,
I'm Ian.
and if you're watching this on YouTube, you give us the old thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, all the YouTubey stuff. I will say that I have yet to upload last week's episode to YouTube because I was on vacation. So,
Lazy
and
bum.
I know, and the Wi-Fi was like really wonky there,
Mhm.
and the YouTube videos are extremely large. I think the episode before that uploaded, I want to say it was like 90 gig. So it would have
Oh,
taken, yeah,
wow.
it would take a long time for me to upload that at the hotel we were staying at. So it is not up yet, but it will be. I'll post it. Um, Probably when I post this on YouTube, I'll post both of them together. So it will be up there. But if you're listening to this on whatever podcatcher you use, whether it's Spotify, Apple, whoever, make sure you subscribe to the show and leave us a nice 5-star review if you're so inclined.
Or tell us to fuck off. I mean, whichever works. Just listen
I
to the
mean,
episode or watch the episode first.
I mean, I tell you to fuck off all the time. So
It doesn't seem to have worked yet.
I know after what 30 years.
Yeah. Well, it'll work eventually.
Actually, I've known you for what 32 years.
Just about. I'll be 32 in August.
Yeah. That's what I found. Oh, why is my watch talking to me? I didn't ask you to find anything, bitch.
Shut your
So
mouth.
I don't know if you saw the news. We had a fucking tornado touchdown in my town yesterday.
I saw the pictures your wife posted. I didn't know. I didn't hear anything about it. All I've been hearing about is that tornado that went through Arkansas or whatever.
Yeah, it was wild. I was over my parents' house, and my parents live like, I don't know, maybe a half mile to the east. No, I'm sorry, about a half mile south of our like little downtown area.
Right.
And I was staying there talking to my parents because, like I said, we were on vacation, so I hadn't seen them in like a week or so. And I always try to at least go over there like once a week.
Right.
And so I'm staying there like bullshit, and it like got really dark all of a sudden. And like no, it was like noticeably dark. And it started hailing. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize it was supposed to storm. And I got a notification on my phone that there was a thunderstorm warning, for the like whatever the next like 45 minutes or whatever it was. And I was like, all right, well, it's kind of letting up now. So I was getting ready to leave anyway. So it stopped pouring and hailing out. So I get in my car and like drive through going back home, and I have to go through like our little downtown area. And like I come up to it and there's like uh, at first it took me a minute to even figure out like what the fuck was going on. There's like shit everywhere. There's like bricks in the road. There's like wood laying everywhere. Like half the one roof of the building was torn off.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, actually, the first thing I noticed was when I was rolling up to the stoplight in the middle of town was like it took me a second to register what it was, but it was the street light was broken in half. It was like dangling in two pieces. I've never seen a street light break like that.
Mm,
It must have just been from flying debris. But
probably.
so I like pulled around and like parked in this parking lot so I get out and was taking pictures because of course I'm
Mm.
fucking gawking like everyone else in town was.
Well, right. I mean, as long as everyone's okay, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no one was injured.
Mm.
Uh they're like our little downtown area is kind of old.
Right.
So I guess now they're assessing if there's like structural damage to some of the buildings. So we'll see what ends
Mm.
up happening. But yeah, it looks like the roofs got torn off. The roof got torn off at least one building. And then there is another building on the opposite side of the street where there's a bunch of debris laying in front also. So,
Mm.
but there's a bunch of windows broken out. A lot of damage in our little downtown area. That was it. But it's funny, I was standing there talking to a guy. He lived like maybe 4 or 5 houses down the street from where we were staying at the time. And he's like, I didn't see shit. Like
Right.
it wasn't. I didn't
Well, I
even
mean,
know anything was going on.
that's kind of how that stuff works. It's like it hits and it'll hit like this and this and this, but everything in between is fine, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There was one lady that was like, they had just opened up there's a pizza place around the corner. They had just opened up, and the one lady said, like it was quick, like 30 seconds, like blew right through.
Wow.
But she sounded like she said it sounded like a freight train coming down the middle of the street. So
Oh yeah, I would imagine it was super loud.
yeah, but it wasn't big though. This was an EF0, so
So big enough to do damage, but just not big enough to like wipe the town out.
yeah, yeah. So that was the excitement here in town.
I know the weather by my house all night, Friday night into Saturday morning was pretty rough.
Yeah,
But it was, I mean, we got winds, but not heavy winds or damaging winds. It was heavy, but it was damaging. Lots of rain though, and I think we did get a little bit of hail, but it was like really tiny.
yeah.
So, but
We drove through a pretty nasty storm coming back from Florida.
yeah,
Um, through and it was like like when I looked up on like the Weather Channel app, it was like this huge storm, but we missed most of it. We only drove through like one little part of it, coming through like Cincinnati. And I mean,
yeah.
it was pretty, like I thought I was going to pull over. It's so fucking bad, but it's like fuck it, let's
Uh,
keep on driving, let's ride or die,
there,
bitch.
there was one time I was driving to Michigan from Tennessee back to
Yeah,
Michigan, and or was it back or was I going to? Might have been going to Tennessee. Yeah, I might have been going to. But anyway, we had a storm. I had a storm. My sister was with me too,
that was when
and
you guys were going to Michigan.
yeah, or coming back from Michigan.
I'm pretty sure it was going to Michigan when you guys hit that big snowstorm.
No, I'm talking about a rainstorm. This was different.
Oh, oh, okay.
Um,
Your sister had a big
and
snowstorm when
yeah, well, that
coming to
was with her
Michigan.
for that one too, because it took us like 18 hours to get home.
Yeah,
So,
when it's a seven
uh,
and a half hour drive.
exactly. But there were periods of time. Well, it didn't help that we got stuck in traffic in Nashville, and that added another 2 or 3 hours to our trip. And then uh, the snow was coming down, so it slowed everything down. I don't think we ever went over 45, so that slowed everything down. And then at some point I had to sleep because at that point we'd been up, you know, for many hours. So we pulled
Yeah.
over to a rest stop to take a nap. So that added 2 or 3 hours to the trip, you know. Plus, and then once we got on the road, it got even worse. So
Yeah.
it was worse in Ohio and all that, because the snow just was out of control. Saw a car just doing. It was basically traveling down the road like this,
Just spinning.
just spinning. Here's yeah. I mean that was their mode of movement
Yeah.
down the road. I think they did end up hitting the wall, but they weren't going fast enough to hurt anybody. But you know,
Yeah.
so
But
those are fun
yeah,
times.
driving down to because we for five of us to fly was like $6,000 because we were going
Yeah.
out for spring break. So I just couldn't for that amount of money, I'll fucking drive. Because I want to say like round trip was less than I think it was probably like $250 round trip in gas, which I didn't think was that
Yeah.
bad. But
No, it's not too bad.
um but going down, we decided to go a different way going down because driving through Atlanta fucking sucks ass.
Mm,
So I mean, traffic in Atlanta is absolutely terrible. Like almost any time, unless you go like through in the middle of the night, which I have, traffic's fine then. But if you hit it like when there's the big ball of fire up in the sky, there's just traffic everywhere. So we decided to drive down through the Carolinas, which is nice because I've never been down through that way. I've never been through West Virginia or anything like that, or South Carolina. So
mm,
we made it down there. We did stop and see Mandy's dad for a little bit. So, but like total drive time was probably 17 hours,
okay.
which wasn't terrible. Coming back though, because I'm a fucking dumbass, I decided to go
I didn't
through
want to say
Atlanta.
it, but you know,
Yeah.
your
I,
words.
I decided to go through Atlanta because I don't know.
It was a little quicker.
I was like, oh, well, it's the same. It's on a map. It's the same amount of time either
Okay,
way.
gotcha.
And I was like, hey, if we drive back through Atlanta, we'll go back through Tennessee and Kentucky. So it'll be round trip, it'll be 10 of the 50 states that we'll drive through, which I thought was kind of cool. In a week, we'll drive through a fifth of the United States. And
Right.
but we left a little later than we probably should have. So we got stuck in Orlando traffic for like an hour or so, probably about an hour. We got stuck in Orlando traffic because it was like morning rush hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then that put us in Atlanta for like fucking afternoon rush hour traffic. So it turned our trip into like, I think we made it home in like, and we drove straight through. I want to say it was like just over 20 hours to
Mm-hmm.
drive back home. Like it was fucking stupid. Like, and
Yeah.
the whole way, Mandy's like bitching at me because she's like, "Oh, you
Because
just
you
had
had
to
to
go
do.
because you just had to go through Atlanta, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I had to hit 10 states." But
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, that'll learn you.
Yeah. So we ended up getting home at it was like 4:30 in the morning or so, quarter to five, something like that when we got home. And we left at 8:15 in the morning in Orlando. So
Wow.
yeah. So it was a long day. It was a very long day. I drove all the way down. Mandy drove like the last 2 hours coming back because I just couldn't drive anymore.
Yeah. No.
It was either she was gonna have to drive or I was gonna stop and sleep.
Right.
But
But she probably slept anyway, so she just took over.
yeah, I did. I slept most of the time that she was driving.
Mm.
You know, because women don't know how to fucking drive, so you gotta.
Yeah, I someone told me at work that you said that you were driving because you didn't want your wife driving because she's a woman and she can't drive. And
Yeah.
when I forgot who told me that, and I was like, but Mandy wouldn't have wanted to drive anyway.
No, she doesn't like to drive.
I
She
mean,
doesn't like to drive.
if you're there, there's no question who's driving. It has nothing to do with
Yeah,
anyone's ability to drive.
it really doesn't. I just like to say that. I just
Yeah,
like to say that and piss people off.
because you're a pig.
Yeah, I am. Oh, speaking of that, I was at work. This is probably a month or two back, and we've got a little, for people that don't know, there's a little bathroom in our break room. And by the way, there's somebody where we work with that likes to go in there and take big nasty shits in there, which I think is really disgusting. But anyway, separate from
Yeah,
that, I
you
go in the
got. I mean,
bathroom.
there's plenty of private bathrooms you can
There
use
is.
to do that.
Don't take a shit in the one bathroom everyone uses. But anyway,
Yeah, when I
I
have to, I always find the farthest bathroom away from
yeah,
everybody.
there are what we call the pooping bathrooms that everyone
Right.
uses. Uh,
Yes.
so I get there to start my shift, and I go in and just take a piss right before my shift starts. And I walk in, and like normal, the toilet seat's down. So I used my foot and pushed the toilet seat up, did my business, and walked out of the bathroom. Washed my hands, I will say, and then walked out of the bathroom just because
Right. Right.
I don't want people to be like, "Oh, you didn't wash your hands." So I walk out of the bathroom, and one of the nurses was walking in the bathroom behind me. And she goes, well, she didn't see me walk out, but she walks in the bathroom and she goes, oh, who left the toilet seat up?" I was like, hold on 1 second. You guys fought for equality. If I gotta put the fucking toilet seat up, you can put the fucking toilet seat down. uh her and the other four nurses that were in there did not like that.
No,
But I'm like,
it
hey,
has nothing.
What's the difference?
It has nothing to do with equality. There's nothing chivalrous about putting the toilet seat down. It is strictly just for their convenience, and that's it. Because you're right, we have to put it up. They should have to put it down. It's that simple. If I go in there and take a shit, I'm going to leave it down. I'm not
Yeah.
going to put it up. So at least some of the time, I am putting it down for them.
So
Sometimes they may have to put it down.
here's my reasoning behind this, really. To because be honest, honestly, I didn't do it just because it's that they can do it the same way I've got to put it down or put it up. Really, I leave the fucking toilet seat up so they know I wasn't in there taking a shit.
Right. If it stinks, it would. Well, see, here's the thing. They won't know if say they went in there 10, 15, 20 minutes after you, somebody gone
Yeah,
in after you and put they could just easily think it was you. It doesn't
yeah,
really matter there.
yeah.
But when they come out, yeah, you don't want them to. You know, if they go in right after, they can at least know that if the toilet seat's up,
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
right,
Toilet seat up. I was taking a fucking piss. I guess I
right.
could take a shit in there and then put the toilet seat up,
You could. But what's the
but
point of
no.
that?
What's the point of
You know,
that? They're just being an asshole.
right? Which, you know, to be fair, I mean, you could be,
I
you
mean,
have been,
I am, so
you are. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to make it so certain because there's no, you know, you're not always an asshole.
just like 95%
Most
of
of
the
the time.
time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Just most of the
But
time.
yeah,
I'm a nice, friendly kind of asshole.
you're a tolerable asshole
Tolerable asshole. There you go.
because there's plenty of assholes who are not tolerable.
Yeah.
Uh, you're tolerable at least.
This is not what we came to talk about today, though.
No, no.
uh,
This is the
so
Entertainment Now podcast. We talk about road
yeah,
trips and pooping.
yeah. I was listening to another podcast when I was driving, and I don't even remember which one it was, but they were talking about how, or they're promoting another podcast. And
Mhm.
they were like, oh, well, it's great. If you want to hear about the subject, you turn on this guy's podcast and that's what he talks about. It's not like a lot of those other podcasts out there where they spend a half an hour talking about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the topic. But I'm like, hey,
That's
that's my
us.
podcast. Like,
Hey, we got a
we
shout out.
we talk about all sorts of random shit that has absolutely nothing to do with our topic.
We
But
really
I
should
find,
call this. We surely should call the show "Entertainment and Some Shit" now,
yeah,
or "Some Shit and Entertainment" now.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I find podcasts like that more entertaining. Because I feel like there's more of a realness to it. There's a better flow to it typically.
Right.
Because there's one podcast I listened to years ago. They don't have a podcast anymore, but it was fucking hilarious. It was two comedians that did a podcast, and their hour-long show, I would say the 50 minutes of that hour long show were them just like bullshitting, and then finally they'd get to the end of the show and be like, oh my god, we had a topic here, let's
Right.
talk, we'll spend 10 minutes talking about it, and that was it.
There's a horror movie podcast I listened to. I mean, I don't know if they planned for it because their podcasts are anywhere from 2 to 4 hours long,
Oh
some
Jesus.
most of the time. Because of
Well,
the banter. There's three guys and they just banter back and forth. And
yeah,
I enjoy listening to it, even though I go to it because they're talking about Phantasm this week or whatever. But
yeah,
you know they may only really talk about Phantasm for 45 minutes to an hour, but the other 2 hours is just banter. And I enjoy listening to
yeah,
them.
like I said, I feel like there's more of a realness. It seems more authentic to have a show like that, which
Yeah,
I enjoy. But then again, I also enjoy fucking talking about absolutely nothing too. So
yeah.
if there's one thing I'm good at, Ian, it's fucking talking.
Well, yeah. Not saying anything, just talking.
That way, I didn't. I said talking. I didn't say actually saying anything, noteworthy.
Right, right. Oh,
Sometimes I talk just to hear my own voice. It seems like. But like I said, with that being said, we do have a topic. It's the first episode of the month, so we're going to talk about new releases coming out in April. So we're talking about movies. We're talking about streaming. Um, I don't know what interests you for the month of April, Ian.
I don't. Forgot to look at the date it's coming out, but Evil Dead Rise is coming out this month, and I'm super excited for that.
Is that what exactly is that?
It's a movie.
About what, dumbass?
It's a sequel to the Evil Dead. Um, comes out on April 21st.
Okay, that's all.
Uh,
I was trying to scroll through my list to see if I could find it.
so 1980, Evil Dead comes out. Sam Raimi's first film. Uh, just like all those really super low budget like indie films, it had a pretty big following. People liked it.
Yeah,
In 1987, he made a pseudo sequel to it, and a sequel in the sense that he didn't have the rights to technically the film anymore. So what he did was the first, say, 15, 20 minutes of Evil Dead 2 is kind of a very truncated version of Evil Dead 1. And then the rest of the movie is the sequel.
Yeah.
Um, and then Army of Darkness was part three, technically. Uh, in 2013, uh, a remake slash sequel was, or requel, I guess they call them now. Requel was made, just called Evil Dead, and this is a sequel to the requel.
Okay.
So, but
I
it was originally going to be just a streaming movie, but all the responses they were getting from like screenings and stuff, they decided that they could get away with making it a full theatrical release. So
okay.
that's pretty optimistic for a a low budget horror film.
I did want to say this real quick. I'm gonna see if I can get a shot of this on the camera here if you're watching this on YouTube. But I don't know if the camera will, it's probably
Yeah,
too bright, isn't it?
it's too
Anyway,
bright. Yeah.
it says for Evil Dead Rise, for all the different movies on here, it gives a little like brief synopsis. Underneath it, it just says no details given. So that's why I was asking you what it was about.
uh, well,
Because I didn't have the
Google,
information to go, oh yeah, I know what that is. No, it just
uh,
says no details given.
Google says a woman finds herself in a fight for her life when an ancient book gives birth to bloodthirsty demons that run amok in a Los Angeles apartment building.
Okay. I'll, I was never a big fan of Evil Dead. But then again, I haven't seen any of them in fucking decades.
You
So
should you would probably like the requel because it was Sam Raimi adds a little humor to his movies. There's no humor in the requel. It is
yeah,
straightforward, over the top horror. So and it's really good.
okay.
Not
Um,
to I mean not to discredit the originals because I love the originals, but
it's just
the
different.
the requel is very much a serious effort.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of scroll through here. There's April 3rd, so we're recording this on the 2nd. So coming out Monday, which is tomorrow.
And
Uh,
weird for a release of a movie. Or oh, it's streaming, isn't it?
it's this is on Hulu.
Yeah, okay.
It's a Brooke Shields documentary, which is kind of interesting. I'll probably watch it, but it's kind of look back through her career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it says holding a mirror up to society that oops, I clicked off of it. Holding a mirror up to society that objectifies women and girls. Uh, Her story shows the perils and triumphs of gaining agency in a hostile world. So I don't know. I'll check it out. It's on
Yeah,
Hulu. So
she was extremely over sexualized for being
oh,
14 years
absolutely,
old.
absolutely. Is that how old she was when she made
I think
Blue
Blue
Lagoon?
Lagoon. I think so. She was pretty young. She's 13 or 14,
She was young. She was real young. I'm trying to
but she was a
scroll through
model
here.
before that.
Yeah.
You know.
Wednesday, April 5th, in theaters, there's a movie called Air that's coming out. It's basically the
Yep.
story of Nike signing Michael
Michael
Jordan
Jordan.
in
Yep.
the because Nike wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. At least it would not exist in the state it is now. So that's one
Correct.
I'm definitely interested in checking out. There does seem to be quite a bit of hype around it. Also, I'm starting to see more stuff over the last couple
The
of weeks leading
trailers
up
have
to it.
been really good. They showed a trailer of it on the front of Scream 6 when I went and saw that,
Oh,
and
do they?
yeah, it looks pretty good. It's definitely not a theater go for me, but it's
Yeah.
definitely gonna a movie I
Yeah,
want to see.
I probably won't see it in the theaters, but it does have Ben Affleck's in there,
Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon's in there, Marlon Wayans is in it, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker. It's just a bunch of people in that movie, so I'm sure it'll end up being pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
You've also got, and I just saw a preview this morning for this one, but the Super Mario Brothers movie. I'm not a
I caught a part of it. I don't know how. Again, I will probably watch it just when it's on streaming, but
Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely not something because it's coming out in theaters also on Wednesday the 5th.
Mhm.
Uh it's definitely not something I'll not watch. I won't see in the theater. I'll stream it, whenever it's available. So I'm not a big like video game person. Actually, even though I'm sitting here, I was playing video games before we started recording. But like I
But
said,
see, Super
it's
Mario
interesting
is
enough
like
to
it's our childhood.
yes, exactly. There's also a really interesting documentary. I was actually just talking to Mandy about this earlier today, coming out on Friday, April 7th. And I don't know if you've heard anything about it, but it's called Living with Chucky. and it's a documentary, an in-depth look at the Child's Play franchise.
Oh, for Don Mancini.
Yeah. So
No, I actually have heard about it, but I didn't think it was going to be like get a release. I thought it was just going to be on Shutter or something.
this it does say yeah, it is on streaming. It's not a
Mhm.
theatrical release.
Right.
But I always like the Child's Play series, so it's like I said, it's whenever it's available on a streaming service I have, I'll definitely
Right.
watch it.
Yeah, and honestly, he's kept it alive. He um pushed forward. He got the last two movies made, and he's been very successful with the TV show, which is was greenlit for a third season.
What TV show, what service is the TV show on?
Well, it's on Peacock. I think is the primary
Oh, is it?
streaming
I've got
because
Peacock. I should probably watch it.
It was a USA original, the first season at least. I don't know if it continued on USA,
Yeah.
but it's through Peacock, so it's it's a universal product, and that's Peacock. The first two
Um,
seasons are on there right now
okay. You said they got greenlit for a third
for
season?
a third season. Yeah,
I definitely need to check it out. I mean, Jackie Chan's career's kind of gone downhill a little bit, hasn't it?
maybe I don't know because I mean he's like he's one of the richest actors in China, so I mean I wouldn't say he has anything to really worry about, but
Yeah. So there's
um,
a
you know he's
on
old too. He's like almost like in his
yeah.
70s, I think. So
So on April 7th, and the reason I say that is because he has a movie called Ride On coming out,
okay.
where he is a washed up stuntman and he takes care of his beloved stunt horse. So
Hmm.
it's really Jackie Chan. Like that's
is it a Hong Kong production?
I don't know.
A Chinese production?
It just says it's a limited release, so I'm not sure if
Because if it's a Chinese made movie, you know, you
I
have
don't
to
think it
take into
is.
account different types of storytelling. Um, Chinese storytelling is very different from Japanese
I
storytelling.
guess that's
Japanese is
true.
very different than American storytelling.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so just
it doesn't say that on there. It just talks about the release itself. So I don't know. So
I
I'm
don't know
still
what
gonna poke fun at it.
I don't know what the country of origin is, but there's all you've heard of that. I don't know if it was ever made into a movie, but the stage play Equos, where the guy
No,
falls in love with a horse,
no.
like romantically in love with a horse.
I've seen some movies like that before.
Yeah, but this is like a
It's
stage play, and it's like
a donkey show.
you know, yeah, but it's not like that. It's more romantic
I
love,
know,
not
I know.
you know, you know.
I know. I'm
It's
just
not.
trying to be funny here, damn
He doesn't have a one night stand with the horse. He
it.
falls in love with the horse and has a relationship with the horse. I've never seen it, but I know it's a stage play and
Okay.
it's old and it's very famous. So, but I don't know what the country of origin is. That's not exactly what you would consider to be at least American storytelling. Nobody's going to tell
Yeah.
that story outside of the porn industry, and even they're not
Yeah.
even allowed to do that. I don't think.
No. Uh
Um,
April 13th, there's a documentary coming out that I've been really interested in for a while now. And I've been waiting for it to get released. It says it's a limited release, so I'm not sure if it's like a limited theatrical release and then it'll be available on streaming at some point, or but it's called The Lost Weekend, a Love Story. And what it is it's a documentary from May Pang, her relationship with John Lennon in the early 70s. So May Pang was Yoko Ono's assistant. She was like 21, 22 years old at the
okay.
time. And she claims that at the insistence of Yoko Ono, she started having a sexual relationship with John Lennon.
Huh.
So it's
So,
all,
which it still implies that John Lennon had a type.
oh, he absolutely did.
Mm,
Yeah, he absolutely. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the funny thing. So, and this is going to kind of tie into something that we're going to talk about in the future, in a future episode of the Entertainment Now podcast, maybe next week. But was John Lennon was not a great person. Um, and John Lennon has been held up, as this almost like mythical musical being. Um, but he was not a good person
Yeah.
for most of his life. People like to talk about how bad Chris Brown is because he beat the shit out of Rihanna. John Lennon did that at least 2 times that we know of. Physically attacked a woman and beat the hell out of her. Um,
Really?
oh yeah. John Lennon also famously, I believe, left the house to go to the store to get cigarettes and didn't come back for over a year. There's a long sordid history of bad behavior from John Lennon that in 2023 probably would get him canceled or whatnot. But because he was a Beatle, and
Right.
even in the 70s, people let it get away with shit that people weren't doing. Um, you know, Around that time, well, I don't know. It's just we give him a pass in his personal life when we don't give a pass to other people in the entertainment
Well,
world.
the same thing goes for Elvis. Elvis was not a good person either,
No, no, and
especially when
look
it
at
came to how he treated women.
yeah, and having sex with minors,
Yeah.
which that's a long history of musicians that have been doing that also. And that's the whole thing is like, if you want to look at like the personal lives, especially with musicians, if things in their personal life stop you from listening to their music, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of musicians that people wouldn't listen to.
Right.
You know,
A
Jerry
vast
Lee Lewis.
majority. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, married his 13-year-old cousin. I mean, and when he
Some
died,
would
they
say at
basically
least he married her.
that's true. That's
So
true.
that would
But
that
when
would
he
be the excuse in the South anyway.
yeah, but when he died, they basically gave him like a fucking state theater and a state funeral.
Funeral. Yeah.
Uh, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. But what I'm saying though is, and I don't have it like I don't think there's anything that someone can do in their personal life that'll stop me from watching their movies or listening to music. But I'm just saying, it's going to be interesting to see because this is all from May Peng. This is her side of the story. It's the first time she's ever laid out what happened, at least the way she sees it. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to at least check it out.
And he's not here to defend himself, but I guess
No,
to some degree Yoko could defend him, but
yeah,
I'm not sure if I trust her either.
yeah. But it was May Peng that actually convinced John to reach out to Julian. Um,
Yeah.
so
Too
I don't
little
know.
too late, I would imagine.
Oh
And
no, I
Yoko
mean they
and
they had.
Yoko screwed him over ever since John died. So
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know what their relationship is, or if they even have, any kind of relationship.
I don't know.
Julian, from what I understand, has a good relationship with Sean, but I don't know what his relationship with Yoko is.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. I'll definitely check that out when it's available. Uh, April 14th. There's a couple of horror movies being released. And I'm not a big horror fan, but
No.
both these actually, one looks pretty good. One I'm at least kind of interested in. The first one is The Pope's Exorcist. I don't know if you know anything about that one.
Hmm.
That actually looks pretty good. And
It
like I
does.
said, I'm not a horror fan. I don't know if it's because I've always liked The Exorcist. I've always been interested in like exorcist or exorcism kind of things.
Hmm.
So I'll be interested to see. I'll at least check out the reviews on that one before I decide to
Yeah.
see it.
For me, I just it they kind of already did that with The Right with Anthony Hopkins back in
Yeah,
I don't know 2010, I think it was. Um, and I'm probably more excited for the Exorcist sequel that's coming out in October
yeah.
because it's got Linda Blair's coming back. It's got what's her name? She played the mom. I can't remember her name offhand off right now. She's coming back, so I'm slightly more excited for that one than I am because it's a direct sequel to the original Exorcist.
Okay.
and the Pope's Exorcist does look good, but again, from what I've seen from it, it's very similar to the
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
that
and
came
that's
out
why I said
years
I'm interested to
ago.
see what the reviews are of
Right,
it, and not necessarily like critic reviews. I'm talking like fan views or fan
right.
reviews.
Yeah, it's got
Or
Russell Crowe in it,
generally what
you
I
know.
yeah.
So, we'll see.
Also that same day you've got Renfield coming out. Um,
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It looks both interesting and stupid at the same time, so I'm not really sure.
that's why I said I'm at least interested in it.
Right.
Is it Nicolas Cage that's in that?
Yeah, he's
So
playing Dracula.
he plays Dracula, so that's
Yeah.
why I said it'd be kind of interesting.
So I guess it just depends on what they're going for and how successful they achieve that. How
Yeah.
successful they are at achieving that. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't know.
I've never been a big Nicolas Cage fan. So
No, he has his place in the film world, but it's not a place that I go to very often.
no, I like I'll like just trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know if there's really like a Nicolas Cage movie where I'm like, yeah, I gotta see that. Or yeah, it's
I can tell you, I probably haven't even seen that many of his films, to be honest with
Face
you.
Off, maybe, and that was
No,
an
to be
okay
honest with you,
movie.
I never watched Face Off all the
Face
way
Off didn't make
through.
it didn't make any fucking sense, first
No,
of
because their heads are shaped different.
all.
They have different shape and size heads. You cannot convince me that they swapped and look exactly the same as what they
Yeah.
would. The Nicolas Cage to John Travolta should be really stretched because his
Yeah.
face would to fit around that head would be stretched,
What you talking
and
about people with big heads now?
the reverse would it'd be a droopy John Travolta because he'd be on a smaller head, longer face,
A narrower, longer face.
narrower head. Yeah, it's just it does not work.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people like that movie. I get the premise. I understand that it might be the premise they like, but Face Off as an an execution just doesn't work. There's too much disbelief you have to suspend.
Yeah.
So
No,
for
I
me,
get it. And it was an okay movie. But like I said, like off the top of my head, that's like the only one I'm like, oh yeah, that was a decent one. Like, but what else has Nicolas Cage really done
I
that's like
I saw The Rock. Wasn't he in The Rock?
what?
Or am
Yeah, I
I
think
and then Con Air. He was in Con Air. I saw
oh
that.
yeah, that's true. Con
I
Air
think he
was
was.
I guess
I'm
okay.
pretty sure he was in The Rock, but either way, Con Air is probably what I'm thinking of. But um, Raising Arizona was decent, but that
Oh
had
yeah,
nothing to
there
do with him.
yeah, that's true. But it was a good
And
movie.
the only other movie that I saw that I liked that he was in was Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah.
Other than that, I could take him or leave him. And I really couldn't say that I've seen many of his other movies.
Yeah. Probably Raising Arizona is probably the first movie at least I remember seeing him in.
Right. For me, it was Peggy Sue Got Married. I saw Raising Arizona later on
I was
in my
trying to
life.
pull up all of his roles here. There it is.
He's
Nicholas
been in a
Cage
lot of stuff.
filmography. He's been in a whole lot of stuff. Oh, he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I don't remember him
Interesting.
in that, but it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Apparently, he played Brad's bud in Fast Times at
Oh,
Ridgemont High. It was his very first movie. Yeah,
mm,
Peggy Sue Got Married. I remember him being in that.
yep.
Uh, oh, Time to Kill. I think it's a different one I'm thinking of.
Well, the one I'm thinking of is with Matthew McConaughey and Sam Jackson.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that can't be right. No, this is an Italian film that he was in called
Oh,
Time to
yeah.
Kill. Honeymoon in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it.
Um, Guarding Tess.
Wasn't he in Leaving Las Vegas
He
too?
was
Am I
in Leaving
confusing
Las Vegas. He was in The Rock. He was in Con Air. Wow, he actually did like he had a stretch of like really popular movies. He did all
City of
together.
Angels?
Leaving Las Vegas, The Rock, Con Air, Face Off, City of Angels. Those were all big movies.
Right.
In the mid to late '90s. Gone in 60 Seconds, The Family Man. Um, adaptation he was on, which
Yeah.
that was okay. Matchstick Men, which that was a really good movie.
I don't think I saw that one.
I don't remember him. I don't remember him even being in it, but that was a really good movie. Oh yeah, he played one of the main characters in it. Never mind.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. Matchstick Men is a good movie. I
Mm.
remember buying it on DVD when it came out back in the day. Ghost Rider, can't forget Ghost Rider, Ian.
Yeah. No,
Everyone should,
I can. I can. I've tried.
everyone should forget that. He was in the National Treasure movies,
Right.
Astro Boy.
Voice, because that's an animated movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not a whole lot else. Nothing like really stands out. So I don't know.
Well, Renfield's either going to be really good or really bad. It's definitely not a
You feel
movie
like
of
it's
the
in the middle
future.
somewhere? It's not going to be in the
No,
middle.
I don't think it can be in the middle. It's either going to be like, so they're trying to achieve this and they succeed in achieving that,
Yeah.
or they tried to achieve this and they failed miserably and the movie sucks. So we'll see.
There's another documentary coming out this month that I'm definitely interested in seeing. Comes out to April 21st. It says limited, so like again, I don't know if this is like a limited theatrical release, and then maybe later it'll get a streaming release or whatever it is. But it's called Little Richard, I Am Everything, and it's
Hmm.
about the beginnings of his career. Um, the tells the story of the black queer origins of rock and roll. So
Hmm.
uh, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like music stuff. I always love those especially like when documentaries about musicians from before my time. I'm always interested in those.
Hmm. Yeah, that's something I would watch too.
And then April 28th, you got Big George Foreman coming out. That's gonna be a theatrical release. I've always loved boxing, and George Foreman has always been a kind of a polarizing figure in sports. For a long time, people absolutely fucking hated the guy, and that's why it's gonna be interesting to see how they portray him in this movie. Is it going to be because they do the same thing with Babe Ruth? Yeah, whenever you watch, there's really only like one Babe Ruth movie to watch, and
John
I don't know,
Goodman.
is the one where he's like the drunk uh
Well,
Babe Ruth.
I don't think I've ever actually seen any others. I mean, I've seen Babe Ruth portrayed in other films,
Yeah,
but the Babe with John Goodman is a great movie. I don't know
yeah,
how accurate it is, but it's a great movie.
yeah. But most of the time that they portray Babe Ruth, it's like this big jovial,
No,
almost
he
like Santa Claus kind of character playing baseball. And he
they
was
have
very
moments
much,
like that in the Babe, but it's there. They show his dark side too, his
yeah,
temper and everything else.
his womanizing, his drinking, all the other bad stuff
Well, the
that
drinking, I don't
he
remember
did.
much about the womanizing, but it's been
Yeah,
30
long
plus years
time.
since I've seen it. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting how they portray George Foreman in this movie. So
Mm.
it's one of those things that I'll read reviews and stuff
Right.
before I check it out.
Yeah. I don't know much about him. Did people like not like him, and then he started making grills, and they liked him?
Pretty
Because
much.
everyone seemed to like him when he made the grills.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
people fucking hated George Foreman for a long time.
hmm.
Yeah, and then pretty much you're right. Yeah, he started making grills, and people, he all of a sudden became
It
like
just goes to show
everyone's
you
uncle,
the way to an American's heart is through their stomach, and
straight through their.
it's got to be meat based.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Fuck the vegetarians, right, Ian?
No, I mean there's a place for everybody in the world as long as it's not. You can be a vegetarian, you can be a vegan, but the second you tell me that meat is murder, you've lost all credibility with me
Meat is
because
murder, Ian.
yeah, it is, but it's there's not necessarily a moral choice there because it,
No, no,
in my
and
opinion,
yeah, and I don't think there needs to be, uh, quite like that. I mean,
right?
there is a hierarchy you know, in the
In the animal
world,
kingdom,
in the
which we
animal
are a
kingdom,
part
and
of.
we are part of,
Yeah.
yes.
Do
Uh,
I think that we need to be ethical about it? Absolutely. Do I think that we need to find better ways of producing our food that's less harmful to the environment? Absolutely. But overall, the morality of meat as a diet you're not going to win me over with that argument. I'm sorry. So,
I mean, we definitely need to not eat as much as we do.
true.
Um,
That's across the board in terms of just American. We have a tendency towards gluttony when it comes to
yeah.
food.
I will tell you that like the year or two that I didn't eat meat, like I felt so much fucking better. And
Mm,
then like just like overall health wise, I felt better. Felt like more energized. And then when I started eating meat again, man, it's like I don't know, you just feel sluggish all the fucking time, at least at first
mm.
till you get used to eating it. But I definitely I wasn't vegetarian, I was pescatarian. So I couldn't stop I like because I couldn't give up sushi really is why
Yeah.
I didn't go
Well, there's
vegetarian,
there's a
but
lot of vegetarian sushi, like
it's not as good
vegetarian
though.
rolls, I should say.
California rolls are not as good as everything else out there. But anyway,
Mm.
it's not what we're talking about, Ian. We're going to try to stay on topic today.
Well, I look up that Equus play.
Yeah.
It was written by Paul Schaefer, who wrote Amadeus.
Okay.
So, and it is about. Let me just give you the story of a psychiatrist who attempts to treat a young man who has a pathological religious fascination with horses. That, if memory serves, people talk about because there's like scenes of nudity with the horse.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
Mm, I don't know. It's not something that screams, something I want to see, but
Yeah.
I just figured I'd bring that up since I did bring it up earlier.
And then so that's as far as I mean, but that's all I have for like new releases.
Mm.
And then like every month there's always a big long list of a bunch of great stuff, older stuff that's going to be available on streaming. Netflix has the Bourne trilogy that's going to be, available, which if you haven't seen those movies, all the Bourne
Oh
movies are
yeah,
absolutely fucking
I haven't
fantastic.
seen actually haven't seen the Jeremy Renner one or the second
Neither
or
did
the
I.
last one that was just called Jason Bourne with
Yeah,
Matt
that
Damon.
was good.
So
That was good. I've seen all the Matt Damon ones; those were all good.
yeah, I
Um,
didn't see that last one. The third first
uh,
first three are fantastic.
yeah. You've also got Inception. It's gonna be on Netflix, which is another great fucking movie.
Yeah.
What else is coming out? You've got Lincoln is gonna be on Hulu this
Oh,
month.
it's all right. I think it's already still on Netflix.
Is it?
I've watched it a couple times on Netflix.
And
That's one of
then
my favorite movies.
yeah, Oblivion is gonna be on Peacock, which is another great movie.
Is that Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got the greatest movie ever made is going to be on Peacock this month, Ian.
Meet the Feebles?
Hey, Meet the Feebles is good. No, no.
No, it's not.
Pop star, never stop, never stopping.
Which one was that?
That was the one with oh my, I lost my headphone here. That's with the what's his name from it's Andy Samberg.
Oh, where he's basically doing like a Justin Bieber spoof type
Yes, and
thing.
it's not good.
I haven't seen it. I like Andy Samberg movies, at least the couple that I've seen, which would be like well, really the main one is Hot Rod. As silly as that movie is, it's so awesome and
Yeah.
weirdly funny. Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw it. I didn't know they made a Basic Instinct 2.
Yeah, I think I saw it on cable one night. It didn't seem that good when I watched of it.
It's on Paramount Plus
Yeah. I
this
might
month.
watch it again. I actually just recently watched the first one, I don't know, about a couple months ago, just because I was bored and I couldn't find anything to watch. I was just like, oh fuck, I haven't watched that in ages. To be honest, it doesn't hold up.
No,
Not really. I mean,
I was
it's
never a
still
big fan of it.
decent. It's still decent, but it doesn't have the same. I don't know. It's just it felt kind of weaker to me. I don't
Yeah.
know. So,
Paramount Plus has the Godfather trilogy, which it's always a great one to stream and check out.
yeah.
Uh, One that I need to watch because I've never seen the entire movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's gonna be on Prime Video this month.
And it's probably a movie that I should rewatch because I haven't watched it since I was in my early teens.
Yeah.
So
What else is coming out? I'm just kind of scrolling through a bunch of this stuff. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Ian.
Ooh, yeah, no thanks. I
Yeah.
was too old for that when they started, when they hit the States. I was too old for them already.
One that I love this movie, but I haven't seen the extended version. The extended version is going to be on Netflix this month. Actually, April 25th, it's going to be on Netflix. Is The Hateful Eight. Fantastic fucking movie.
Oh,
But I
see,
have
I
not
haven't
seen
seen
the
it yet,
extent.
but I would much rather just watch the extended version.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
watch it. Just watch.
April 25th, that'll be on Netflix.
Yeah, his last two films I haven't seen. I haven't seen Hateful Eight or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet.
Yeah.
So
One that I won't watch, but some people out there might be interested in, going to be on Disney Plus, April 28th, is Peter Pan and Wendy,
is that new version?
the new version. Yeah. So that'll be out there. But yeah, it's kind of it. Like there wasn't
No, April seems pretty weak for me.
April. I think there's a bunch of great stuff that's going to be coming out in May. But yeah, I think April's kind of a soft a soft month. There's a couple of horror movies that I'm kind of interested in. Definitely some documentaries I'll check out, which I probably watch more documentaries than just about anything else. But
Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth. If there's a good documentary that I see, or at least I see one that's interesting, I'll pop it on
yeah,
in lieu of everything else, just because I'd much rather watch something like that at most days.
yeah. But
They're usually short enough too, where you can get through them pretty quick.
yeah, and it's also one of those things where if you need to break it up and watch it in segments, you're not gonna necessarily,
Right,
Lou gets pulled out of the storyline or whatever. So
right. What
which
happened
would
last time? There was no
yeah,
recap.
yeah, which works well for me. So uh
Right.
but yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop us a comment down below. Let us know what movies you're interested in checking out in April. If you listen to this on your podcatcher, leave us a 5-star review. And I don't know, you got anything else to add, Ian? Go out and enjoy the
No,
movies. How about that?
don't fall in love with horses. Don't
Yeah,
have a pathological religious experience with horses or whatever that is.
yeah,
But Paul Schaefer wrote one of the greatest plays. Well, I've never seen it as a play, but as a movie, he wrote the screenplay too. Amadeus
yeah.
is
It's a great movie.
yeah.
But I don't know, man. That's about all I got. Until next time,
Talk to y'all later.
peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring.